Hello there, my name is Bella, and welcome back to the 100 Acre Wool Knitting Podcast, where I like to share with you what I've been making recently, and that's usually having to do with knitting. So today I thought I would share with you some of the things that I made this year. Being that it's kind of the middle of the year, it's a little bit past now, but we're still kind of in the middle of the year, and I've been doing the Make 9 knit along this year, and I just thought I would share with you my progress on some of those projects that I've been making for that. So let's get started. So you can also find me on Instagram or Ravelry at 100 Acre Wool. I post some more project updates and details on those places. And as with all of my videos, links to everything that I discussed today, projects, yarn, everything like that will be in the description below. Just click on that little description tag below the video and it's all going to be right down there. And so let's get into it. You may see this little pile of knitting behind me. So I have gathered all of the projects that I have finished or am still working on this year. Some projects I don't have anymore because they were gifts for people and they're gone now. But so far, these are all of the things that I've made in 2021, cast on and either cast off or I'm still working on it. I don't have all of my WIPs actually here, just the ones I'm going to talk about today. But all of the finished objects that I'm going to talk about today that are not gifts, those are here as well. So this is my first year doing or being a part of the Make 9 knit along, and if you're a knitter you probably have participated in one of these or you know about them. It's basically just a knit along where you endeavor, you have a goal to make at least 9 different garments or pieces or hats, gloves, whatever kind of knitting project it is. You just try to make 9 different things. And this year I joined the knit along. This was my first year joining, and I think I was kind of overzealous. I think I was a bit too excited about it, or a bit too excited for it, and got a little in over my head as far as what I wanted to accomplish and my goals for it. So I just wanted to go through some of the things that I've actually accomplished and see where we're at. So I'm just going to go through this pile. It's not in like finished order or anything. These are just some of the things I've made this year. So this one, these are some mitts that I finished, I think in January. These were like the first project that I cast on and cast off this year. These were really, really fun to make. These were part of a test knit that I did for Life is Cozy. And this particular pattern is called the Undulation Mittens. They're really, really cute and fun. And I haven't been able to wear them for a while now since it's been summer, but this past spring and the little bit of January and February, they were definitely really nice to wear and use. Very cozy, very nice. But I like that they're not, they're fingerless still, so you can still do things with your fingers, go on your phone or whatever. And I just love the pattern of these. You can see they're cables is how all of this design is done. All of that kind of detailed work there, that's all cable crosses. And I just thought it was such a cool pattern when I saw it on her Instagram page and she was asking for test knitters. Just super, super cool. So this was a great pattern to knit. It took me maybe a week or two. I forget exactly how long it took me, but it seemed like a pretty quick knit. I mean, it's not very much knitting. These are kind of small pieces. And it also really didn't take that much yarn. I think it also took maybe a little more than 50 grams to make these. So very economical, pretty quick knit, but I love the details still. That they're kind of simple, but they have that lovely little pop. And they also have ribbing on the back, so they kind of hug your hands really nicely. They can form to your hands really, really well. Maybe I'll put one on just so you can see what I'm talking about. So there you go. Kind of no matter what your hand shape or size is. I mean, she has different sizes in the pattern, but I think the ribbing really aids in making them very nicely fitted to your hand. So yeah, this was a great, great fun project. Really, really loved making those. And one of my other projects is, oh my gosh, this was so much fun. This was a tank top that I kind of cast on willy-nilly. I just had a skein of yarn that I wanted to use for something, and I was going on Ravelry and trying to find a pattern that would only use one skein of yarn, because I didn't want to make socks. I know you can usually make socks with one skein of yarn, that'll be enough, but it was kind of a little more fancy, and I wanted to use it for something that I could wear and that people could actually see it, because socks I feel like wouldn't really ever get seen. But anyways, so I found this pattern that for my size it would use exactly one skein of 100 grams of yarn. Fingering weight yarn is what this is. So this is called the Oak Leaves pattern. Shoot, I'm blanking on the name. I'll put the name of it here. I think it has to do with oak leaves because the design at the bottom, this kind of lace design here at the bottom, this little motif, it's supposed to look like oak leaves. So I thought that that's a really beautiful little touch there. And other than that, it's a very simple, mostly stockinette with a few slip stitches in there. So this is a really comfortable design. I've gotten so much use and wear out of this summer and this past spring. It's just been really lovely to wear. I highly, highly recommend this pattern. I think it's really fun. It's also a really quick knit. I think this one took me either a week or two to knit, since it is only one skein and it's pretty much all stockinette. It's really, really fun and it doesn't take very long, which is always nice. And yeah, I think most of it is TV knitting, since it is stockinette towards, most of the body. It's kind of TV knitting, and it's worked bottom up. So the cast on edge is where you do all of the kind of crazy cool lace work. So you get that kind of out of the way, and it's, in my opinion, the most exciting part, but then also the part that takes the most focus and energy. But that's really, really fun down there. I think it's such a pretty, what am I saying? Such a beautiful, pretty edge there. So yes, highly recommend this pattern for a lovely quick knit. And then we have my first ever ranunculus sweater. This one I made pretty much to pattern. I know a lot of people change their ranunculuses and make them, make them their own and make them a little different, either longer or shorter or whatever. You start off with all this beautiful yoke work here, and then it gets into easy breezy stockinette in the round. Really, really fun. So this one was such a lovely knit, and I made this one, it's kind of a 3/4 length sleeve on me, so I can wear this in maybe the spring or the fall. It's kind of too hot now for summer. I also made this with alpaca and silk yarn, so it's quite warm yarn, and it's also DK. This pattern calls for fingering weight yarn, but I wanted to use this yarn that I had had in my stash for a while, and I thought it would be a beautiful pairing for this particular pattern. And I really, really love how it came out. I think I prefer that I used DK, or like I wouldn't maybe have liked it as much if I had used fingering weight. I like, in general, I like more structured fabric, not as loose of a gauge, not as loose of a tension in the fabric, so there's more muchiness to this, if that makes sense, since it is a thicker yarn that I used. And it's so soft, oh my goodness. This is an Expression Fiber Arts yarn, their Alpaca Silk DK, and I think it's one of my favorite bases ever. You just hold it and it's so soft. It's one of the softest yarns I've ever felt. Oh, it's lovely, lovely. So that one was really fun to knit. And, ooh, now let's get into my first ever knitting pattern design. So this one is a sweater that I designed myself, and this is now available on Ravelry. It's called the Mare Sweater, and I actually put this out on Ravelry not too long ago. I think I published it in July, and I really haven't gotten wear out of this because it's summer, but I'm really, really looking forward to this coming fall and winter. I'm sure I will get tons of use out of it. It's really, really warm because it uses mohair and alpaca fingering weight yarn held together. Can you tell I like alpaca and silk and all those things? Yeah, so This one's very, very cozy, especially with the mohair. So it's got some cable details at the bottom of the sleeves, and then also the bottom of the body here. So lovely cables there. And then you probably saw it's also a raglan shape at the top and has a little turtleneck. And then I also include in the pattern, if you would like to knit it, I also include some variations on this turtleneck, because I know during the test knitting phase, some of my test knitters were asking for it to be have the ability to make it a shorter turtleneck. So that's also in the pattern as well, if you would like to make it longer or shorter or whatever. So I made 2 of these actually. I made one for my mom as well. Her version was actually the original version, and then I changed the pattern, or not changed the pattern, but I updated the pattern a little bit and made my own version, and then that is what was published. So I actually made 2 of these sweaters, and wow, when you think about it, that feels like a lot. And now let's get into some of my current works in progress that are not finished yet. So this is one of my works in progress. This is the Anne Boleyn cardigan that I am working on as part of our Tudor Roses KAL, which I won't go too much into that. I've talked about it a lot on this channel, but basically it's any project from Alice Starmore's Tudor Roses book. It's a knitting pattern book, really gorgeous, regal looking designs based around the women of the Tudor era. Beautiful, beautiful things. If you would like to check it out, I have linked the book below so you can see some of the patterns that are in there. Really, really beautiful work. And I've also linked Alice Starmore's website as well. They have some more patterns, even more than just this book. Alice Starmore is one of my favorite designers, so I always recommend people go check her out because she's just does really, really beautiful, intricate, lovely patterns in my opinion. But this one is what I'm working on for the KAL. So this is the Anne Boleyn cardigan, or jacket. Some people call it the jacket, some people call it the cardigan. And I'm finally done with the back portion of this. Oh my gosh, I have been working on this project since like March of this year, I think. And since I've been working on so many other things as well, I haven't devoted too much time to this project. And this one in particular is taking me so long to knit, so it's like such a feat that I finally have the back portion finished. I can't even show it upright, it's so long. But yeah, this is just the back panel. So obviously it's going to be knit in pieces and then seamed up as well. So I've done the armhole shaping here, maybe you can see. That's one of the armholes. And then there's a little bit of shaping on the kind of back arm, back collar, I don't know what you would call that. And then I still have some live stitches for later and so on. But yeah, I'm so happy this is finally finished. Oh, it's taken so long. So yeah, I'll also put a picture of this here so you can see it maybe better and get a better idea of the shape of it, because it's kind of hard to show in this format right now. Yeah. But I've also started working on one of the front panels for this project. So I've also started on the left front of the cardigan, and this is how it's coming out already. I feel like I've actually gotten a lot done on this. I think I'm maybe halfway through. No, that doesn't look long enough. Maybe not halfway through. But I've really been trying to knock out some rows on this week and really trying to get some work done on it, because I want to have this project done before the end of the year, because that's when our KAL ends. It ends at, the end of 2021, so I really want to have this finished for that. So working, trying to get that finished. So it's got some beautiful waist shaping to it. I don't know if you'll be able to tell. It's also in the back as well, there's waist shaping. So Alice Starmore incorporates some beautiful decreases in the middle of these vertical bobble lines with intarsia, and this is just such a wonderful pattern to learn new techniques, I think. I think it's not technically that difficult, as long as you learn the techniques that are necessary. So there's intarsia used, and then there's also some other details. I'm going to be making a tutorial soon. It'll probably be coming up this week on how I made the bobbles for this, because some people have been asking me how I'm doing that. And then also on some of the other details of the pattern that could be used in other patterns as well. And yeah, I'm really loving the front portion of this here. So this is going to be the left front, so it'll kind of be down in this area. And then also, I think towards the end of the pattern, she has you pick up stitches and then create a button band on this edge here. And there's also a tiny little twisted cable ridge right towards the edge. Just so many beautiful details in this pattern. It's really, really intricate, and the amount of work that was put into this pattern, like Alice Stormer writing it, you can really tell that she put so much work and effort into this. It's just so detailed how it's written, and it's really lovely to work up. So that's been really fun to make. I'm making good progress on that, I feel. And let's see what else we have under this mound of knitting. Alrighty, so this next pattern is the Gyda Cardigan or Gyda jacket. This one is also in my Make 9 as well as the Anne Boleyn cardigan. And I'm really loving how this is coming out. It's a pretty simple knit. I know it may not look like it because there's cables involved, but it actually feels pretty easy and seamless to go through. I'm just following the chart, and it's kind of a little bit mindless in a way. It's just fun for me to work up. So I've gotten quite a bit done on this since I showed you guys last. This is the back portion here, and let's see. I put a marker where I was last time I showed you, so I think I've gotten maybe doubled the size of it now. And this marker, I love it so much. I think it's so beautiful. The yarn that I'm using for this is from November Woods Crafting, which I will link her down below. She also has a podcast here on YouTube, and she started dyeing yarn recently. So that's what this yarn is. And when I ordered some from her, she so kindly sent me this little stitch marker as well. I think it's turquoise stone, and it's just really beautiful handmade little marker there. So I'm using that to mark my progress every time. So now I'll get to move that up, and we'll see where I am with it next time. So yeah, I've gotten quite a bit done on it, and it's a pretty quick knit actually. I think because I'm using a DK weight yarn, and it feels like a pretty muchy DK weight. I'm not really sure how to say it. It's non-superwash wool, and it's 100% merino, I believe. It's 100% wool, so it's very springy and bouncy, and it's got a lot of like fluff to it, if that makes sense. It's not fluffy, but hopefully I'm making sense here. So I'm really loving the cable crosses on this. I think they're really fun, but also pretty intuitive. They're definitely not difficult at all if you have done any sort of cable crossing before. They're pretty simple cable crosses, and it just gives like such a gorgeous look. I mean, look at that. That's just so beautiful. And the bottom kind of maybe looks weird right now. I'm going to be folding over the hem, and it's kind of a folded hem down here, and it's going to be really cool, I think, at the end. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably have this back portion finished by next time, and then I'll be started on some other portion of the pattern. So that's going well. And let's see. So then one of my other Make 9 projects is the Yell Cardigan by Marie Wallen. And this one has also been in the works for quite a while. It was kind of on standstill for a few weeks, and I've recently picked it back up, and I really want to keep going with this. Hopefully get it done this year, we'll see. But this is how it's looking now. Oh, I'm going to have to cover myself. Hopefully you can see all of that. So it's coming along really well. It's worked bottom up, so I'm working on the main body sort of portion of the motif here now, and it's just really, really beautiful, I think. It's so cool how different it looks further back. Like when I'm looking at it and I'm knitting it, you kind of see the motif, but it's a little bit muddled. Maybe you know what I'm talking about if you've ever knit color work. But it's like you don't really see the full beauty until you stand back, and like on the video here, it's like, wow. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyways, I'm going to be steeking this, so that's why there's this line down the middle here. So that's going to be cut open at the end, and then you do kind of it's not a button band, but you kind of do a edging on both sides to finish it off. And I just think this pattern is so beautiful. Just the fabric that comes out of it, just such a beautiful motif there, I think. So this is just kind of easy breezy, just in the round doing color work. I do recommend this pattern if you want to learn color work, or if you have been doing color work even, for your whole life, whatever it may be. I recommend this pattern to everyone. It's just so beautiful, and you can really kind of make it your own. Like, I changed all of the colors that I'm using for this from the original pattern. So I think with what colors you choose, or if you want to adjust the motif a little bit to make it your own, I think it's a really good pattern to do that, since there isn't much shaping, and it's kind of like a fabric piece is how I think about it. It's more a focus on the fabric itself that you're making. So it's just really fun to play around with motifs and just make it your own. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. And it's also not complicated color work. There aren't very many times where you need to weave in your ends. Weave in your floats. Sorry. There aren't many long gaps between color changes. So yeah, I do highly recommend this pattern. It's very, very fun. So yeah, I'm going to be continuing on this one, and I really hope I can finish it this year. But my number one goal is to finish the Anne Boleyn, because that's taking me a long time, and we'll see where I get with that. So my last project that I have finished this year that I can show you guys is another test knit that I did. This is a sweater pattern by Taylor Owen. So Taylor Owen is also a knitting podcaster here on YouTube, and she recently started making garment designs. And this was, I think, her first garment design, her first full garment design, like a sweater. This is a cardigan, and I just thought it was so beautiful when she showed it on her Instagram page. I just had to cast it on. So this was not part of my Make 9, but I just, saw it, fell in love, had to make it, sort of a deal. So that's what this project was. And this was a really fun knit. It's really, really cozy, and it's just such a lovely garment to just chuck on whenever I'm kind of chilly, since it is a cardigan and it's a neutral color, so it just goes with everything and it's really easy to wear. And it's just such a beautiful design. So I'll show you the back here. The back is really the most amazing part. It's got this beautiful O-knot cable cross pattern. It's called the O-knot cardigan, so that's kind of where the name came from. I just think this is such a pretty, pretty beautiful design. So this yarn is also a non-superwash wool. I think it's called the Highland wool, and it's just really lovely and warm and squidgy and squishy and has all that like lovely bounce to it that wool does. So I just really love this yarn, and it's gonna be super nice to wear in the fall and winter when things get colder. This is a worsted weight yarn, so it's kind of thick and a bit much for summer. Even at cold nights, it's a bit much. But yeah, it's got buttons down the button band, and then it also has pockets at the bottom, which are super useful. You can put your phone in there or keys or whatever. So this one was a lovely knit. I really enjoyed that one. So most of these projects actually were not on my Make 9 for this year. I think I showed you 8 projects here. So I probably will have made at least 9 pieces. Actually, yeah, it's already 9, because if I finish all of these this year, hopefully, we'll see. And then I also made my mom's sweater, so that makes 9 things. So I will potentially have made 9 things this year, just not the ones that I was envisioning making. So let's see, the Anne Boleyn was on my list, the Yell cardigan was on my list, and the Gyda pattern was on my list. And I think nothing else was. I think everything else I just kind of saw it and fell in love and wanted to cast it on. Just kind of got carried away with the beautiful things. Also the ranunculus. The ranunculus was part of my Make 9, so 4 things out of 9 things I'm actually making. But I think I was just too ambitious at the beginning. I didn't actually realize how long it would take to knit those things. I think I chose some pretty complicated patterns that maybe I'm too slow in it or to accomplish all of those in a year. But it's definitely been fun to knit all of these. And I'm sure I'll make the patterns that I wanted to at some point. Maybe it'll be in next year's Make 9. Or maybe I just won't do a Make 9 and just kind of follow my heart and do whatever feels right at the moment. We shall see. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little update. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And I'll see you in next week's episode. See you next time.